name's Beth Barnhill, and I'm the Executive Director of the Iowa Coalition Against Sexual Assault. I've been with the Iowa Coalition Against Sexual Assault since 1990. So I would say that in the early work that I did, it was definitely influenced by feminist thinking about women having equal opportunity and chances that men had in all arenas. I think feminist values have shaped IowaCASA's work all along. We had to battle to have our voices as women heard in pretty much every arena. There were a lot of early feminist things going on at that time. For example, we had, I was going to the University of Missouri, and women who were on various committees at the University of Missouri would literally sit and count the number of times that women spoke in meetings, and they would count the number of times that they were spoken over, and they presented those findings in various papers and presentations. So we were thinking about all of those kinds of things, like how our voices were heard. I think we definitely didn't, for a long, long time, at least people like me, white middle-class women, we didn't think a lot beyond ourselves and a lot about what other people's experiences were. So we addressed a certain kind of feminism and not other kinds. My views about that started to change when I was working at the shelter, and those were sort of in the early days where the battered women's movement was pushing mandatory arrest, and the African American women in particular who came into our shelter didn't want to call the police because of mandatory arrest. And I didn't understand why, because I would try to convince them that the police would really treat them nicely, and I was wrong. So what shifted for me in terms of seeing the connection between sexual assault and anti-oppression work was when I saw that although certainly in the early days no one was being treated particularly well when they tried to report sexual violence, people who were not white and middle class were treated even less well and were less likely to report. I heard from people that worked with people who were deaf and people who worked with people who had disabilities, and I was aware that they were pretty much not ever taken seriously, no matter who they tried to report to. So all those connections started to make sense to me. And then over time, as I talked with people about what they really wanted in terms of being responded to when they had been a victim of sexual assault, those systems that we had worked with so much started to make less and less sense, and just started talking to people about what would make sense in their communities. When I think about new advocates doing this work, one of the things that I hope new advocates can connect with is that they are part of a movement to create social change, to end violence, and that while it's a job, it's not just a job, and it's not just a job doing social services. I think feeling like you're part of a movement to actually change something also helps sustain you through difficult work and hard stories.